Alright, where do you want me? Over here? No. What? Jesus. Okay. Hi, you've just watched MovieFest the movie, year 20. This is what you want? That's great, Alex, but can you give it just like a little more enthusiasm? No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna give it more. Hi, you've just watched MovieFest the movie, year 20. Wait, I need my hat. Thank you. Is that so hard? I'm Alex, the director. Now, like all movies, not everything we shot made it into the final cut. There might not have been enough time, some of it didn't flow well, or the questions you asked were fucking stupid. Definitely the third one. However, due to the rampant success of the MovieFest the movie franchise, our producers came to us and said, Alex, we'd like you to make some bonus features for this year's movie. To which I replied, no. Don't make me, I don't want to. It seems like a lot of work. I've already done enough work. To which they then replied, we don't exist. There are no producers for this movie. This is all in your head. To which I then said some sort of pop culture bullshit.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
And here we are. Enjoy the bonus features. I'm Alex, and I'm in Brooklyn.
Well, this is Elliot from Astoria, New York.
My name is Eric, and I am in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
My name is Rob Amatruda, and I am in South Windsor, Connecticut.
My name is Thomas James Broderick, and I'm in the great city of Trumbull, Connecticut.
My name is Tom Koenigs in sunny Claremont, California.
My name's Zach Van Scowen. I live in Seattle, Washington.
And it is MovieFest 2020.
This is a good time for me to chime in and tell all of you to get me your goddamn footage. Don't make me come chasing for you. I'll be fucking angry.
Vertical.
What?
Vertical.
Yeah, all vertical. If you shot anything, I can't do it. I can't do the joke. I can't do the joke. I'm too tired. Fuck all y'all. Get me your fucking footage.
But you want a lot of pictures, right? You want like a collage of pictures.
Now?
Wow. I can't believe I've been watching movies for 24 hours on a boat. I will say I was surprised that I was the only one to attend the 20th Movie Fest. I thought a few more people would care and show up. I could be on the wrong Zoom call. I'm gonna talk to Elliot later and find out what's up with that.
Jesus Christ. I gotta try that again. I'm sorry, Shebar. I fucked it up. I fucked it up. Oh, well, never was there ever a cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles. Wah! Wah! You can use that bit. You can use that bit. You can use the wow, just totally out of context. Oh, well, never was there ever a cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles. Okay, let's go.
Man, I hope Shebar enjoys editing all this noisy outdoor video. Shebar's really good at sound editing though, so I bet it's gonna sound great.
So if I stand, am I too close? Can you not hear me? Can you not see me? Alright, if I sit here, can you hear me? Can you see me?
What would you say is your favorite part about Run Rabbit's trend-setting approach to creating gear for runners, their sustainable made-in-USA manufacturing, or that they create award-winning gear for runners by runners? I think that question answered itself, really.
Some of my favorite off-the-cuff thoughts about Running Rabbit is that they believe in ethical, sustainable manufacturing.
As a person that would eventually like to start his own clothing brand,
I appreciate that they want to make something new.
I find the entrepreneurial spirit of runners to develop this great, just sustainable, wonderful brand for our community. I don't even know. It's making me tear up a little bit.
Rob, this is definitely a fucking bullshit scam. That's amazing.
Wow, that's all really wow.
Oh my god. Alright, I hope it's going well for you.
I just want to take a minute here to give a shout out to Run Rabbit. That's a wonderful gear company.
They're the absolute best.
They made this beautiful camo life jacket, these stylish gloves, this paddle, this boat here.
As somebody who truly appreciates a good brand sponsorship, I will say there is no better running brand out there than insert name here. Run Rabbit.
Haven't run a mile in 6 years. Looking forward to doing it again and then collapsing directly into an open grave with my name engraved on it.
I am looking right now at my favorite thing about Run Rabbit, and that is their quality-made quad bangers. And they are $60, $60 US for shorts. That is what I think of when I think about Run Rabbit. $60 shorts.
Alright, I'm going back to answering questions, y'all. I don't care.
Does Toronto really have the worst traffic in North America?
I have heard that statistic.
I think if by traffic you mean Canadian geese, for sure.
I haven't driven in 10 years. I have never been to Canada.
I don't know.
But yes, yeah, Toronto's terrible. If you take interstate, whatever, dub over my voice saying the correct number, 401. It's a mess if you're going down Balfour Street. Also terrible.
I hear the traffic between Waterloo and Toronto is killer.
Weiss is always late though, and I can assume it's for no other reason than bad traffic, so yeah.
So yeah, I am qualified to answer this question better than anyone. Certainly better than Scowen, the person who submitted it, and as of 11, whatever time it is, still isn't even at MovieFest.
I'm gonna give Weiss the benefit of the doubt and say it's definitely the worst.
I will say definitively yes. Toronto has the worst traffic in North America, probably even the world. Yeah, why not? We'll just say the world. Here we have Alex Shebar's favorite question.
Compare each Fest participant to an NBA player. Explain the logic of your comparison.
Is NBA basketball?
Fuck this question.
So I'm giving this a lot of thought. I hope Shebar will pull up some nice graphics to support this when he puts it.
Hi, Elliot Dutcher. I am Karl Malone, the mailman. I always deliver. When you think about the greatest players in NBA history, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, you don't think about Karl Malone. He's not really on that list. Someone else might come along and say, Karl Malone? And you're like, oh yeah, I guess, maybe, yeah, he could be. That's what I mean. Great numbers, always deliver, dependable. The greatest player of all time? Maybe, yeah. That's me, Elliot Dutcher, Karl Malone.
Elliot Dutcher, who I would compare to the point guard Chris Paul. Again, other than Alex, the person who has the most control over MovieFest, but where Alex is kind of more of a free-ranging style, even if Alex wants to dominate the ball, Dutcher's much more domineering, much more Chris Paul-like. He wants to pound the rock, control every possession, tell everybody where to go. If you're not doing MovieFest right, he's going to let you know about it. He's one of the greatest of all time. They don't call him a point guard for nothing. And yet sometimes his domineering attitude can alienate certain types of teammates. You know, he works very much within a strong structure, but there's really no one like him. I mean, there's a reason he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I think there's a pretty good chance to say that Alex and Elliot are the two first ballot Hall of Famers out of this MovieFest group. They are the MovieFest legends. They play off each other really well, so I think that one makes a lot of sense again. Elliot, unlike LeBron a little bit more, he can play on the ball, off the ball. He's a great, Chris Paul's a great catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. Elliot also can slip into that kind of more minor MovieFest role. He likes to set things up, but then he can let other people cook, stand in the corner, provide spacing, and knock down shots. And like Chris Paul, there are some kind of moments of perhaps folding at some of the crucial moments. I mean, who can forget the box that he had set up this thing for years, really planning on getting there, and then all of a sudden he manages to win the box that year and get his own joke turned back on him. And I think about that a lot, like the Chris Paul many turnover game against OKC that really defines his career by never having gotten past the second round of the playoffs. And I'm not saying Dutcher's never gotten past the second round of MovieFest, but you know, maybe.
Dutcher. He's LeBron. He's somehow still going strong at age 34. He should be washed up. Dutcher should be done. He's not. He keeps that PER and win shares above anyone else, despite being the oldest Phil Rules member. MovieFest is impossible without him. He's the GOAT. And yet, too few MVPs. One box win. So he's LeBron.
Dutcher he's Michael Jordan. He's Bill Russell. He's just winning it, bringing it every time. Consistency. Rob is Dame Lillard. He'll just catch fire out of nowhere and have some real moments where he just carries the thing by himself.
Rob's Lou Williams. At one point, a member of the Phil Rules bench. Now, he's instant offense. What zany thing will he do next? He's our spark plug for MovieFest.
Rob Amachuda, when I think about Rob, really there's only one name. That is, of course, Rajon Rondo. Now, a great player, an amazing player, great stats, great numbers. But Rob's more than just the stats, more than just the numbers. He is flashy. He is entertaining. When you buy your tickets to watch MovieFest, which is apparently watching us watching a movie, I don't know why you bought tickets to that, you are focused on Robert Amachuda. He's the guy that draws you out. He's the guy with the silly running gimmicks and drinking alcohol gimmicks and whatever. He is the focus, the entertainment of MovieFest. And in that sense, I'm not going to say Robert Amachuda is not Rajon Rondo. Rajon Rondo is Robert Amachuda.
Broderick is... I feel like I need to know more NBA players, really.
Tom Broderick, easy. Carmelo Anthony, he's a goddamn ball hog.
Who am I? That's pretty easy. I'm Patrick fucking Beverly. A little vertically challenged. I'll talk trash. And I might injure you or put my foot under your ankle as you come to land. You don't know. Any of the above.
Broderick is Bruce Bowen. Obnoxious, bit of a dirty player. You do want him on a championship team. Gonna mouth off a little bit, but at the end of the day, you need him there.
Tom Broderick. This one was one of the easiest of everyone, and I think the obvious answer is Draymond Green, multiple-time champion with the Golden State Warriors. And I think what makes Broderick and Draymond like obviously comparable is the way in which they're just both fucking irritants. There's people who get under each other's skin. Draymond's probably one of the great role players of all time, and that's how I feel about Broderick at MovieFest. He's, if you were asking Broderick to carry a MovieFest, if you're asking Draymond to score 20 points and shoot 5 threes a game, I mean, you're going to be in some offensive trouble. Broderick doesn't bring that. I don't think he's recommended a movie in about 5 years, which kind of reminds me of the way Draymond shoots. At the same time, Broderick does a lot of the little things. He shows up, he plays big minutes, he's always going to be there for the whole fest. He runs his mouth, he makes bad jokes, and he gets under people's skin and gives MovieFest that kind of gritty toughness which has defined it for all these years. I think a lot of these, I'm not so sure, but this one also goes the other way, which is I'm confident if Draymond Green ever attended MovieFest, he would behave in much the way Broderick does, just like ragging on everyone, flipping over gummy worms, and just generally pissing everybody off. But Broderick, elite defensive player, always gonna like stymie whatever hope there is for another player, sets good screens. We've seen his physicality, though that was more in the early years of MovieFest. The shot comes and it goes, and I think if Broderick's shot is on and he's fueling the movies, he's recommending good movies, like MovieFest is unbeatable, just like the Warriors are unbeatable when Draymond's cooking. But he always brings the effort, always brings the intensity, and I have to say he's a winning player.
Now, that leaves me with one key person. Higgins. What NBA player would I say Higgins is like? I thought long and hard about this, and I'm going to say that Higgins is the Kristaps Porzingis of MovieFest. Not just because they're tall, lanky white guys. The actual reason is much deeper. Kristaps, a lot of potential. He seems to be fulfilling it under Luka's guidance. But without Luka, he was just an oft-injured, kind of useless player who couldn't carry a team. And I think Higgins is like that. He needs that guidance, baby. Without that, a little bit lost.
Okay, so next up we have Matt Higgins, an absolute MovieFest legend, and I think it makes perfect sense to compare him to Carmelo Anthony. Again, elite volume scorer when he is locked in and in his prime. He was someone who could really just fill it up and score in all sorts of ways. Also, Higgins brings the swagger and the attitude. Again, someone who's going to go to the Hall of Fame and has known it the whole time. That's how Higgins approached MovieFest. Especially, I'm thinking of like Nick Smello here for Higgins. But like Melo, Higgins can kind of fade in and out of MovieFest. He's not someone who kind of brings max effort on both ends all the time. Sometimes there are some efficiency questions. He's more of a volume scorer. But Higgins has learned, and Higgins, let's be clear, sometimes a Frisbee tournament comes up and he might miss a MovieFest or two. It's not unlike Zach and Joel Embiid. Carmelo also has had some availability questions. You know, he doesn't want to start, kind of like the OKC Houston years. I kind of see those as like the MovieFest where Higgins attended a Frisbee tournament. But Higgins really like playing well in this MovieFest already today. I kind of see this as like the late stage Portland kind. He's channeled Olympic Melo, as they say, someone who's a great spot up shooter, keeps the ball moving a little more. You know, he's never going to be able to move his feet in the pick and roll defense, but he can play post defense, and that's what Higgins does in MovieFest. He plays post defense. Again, Higgins doesn't have the kind of 5-tool. He's not the Andre Iguodala type because, you know, he's often going to like, will start drafting and then he'll like drop out after like 2 games. So I think, again, it's not the 5-tool player, but the tools he brings are absolutely elite. And he can kind of carry an offense and carry a MovieFest in a way, say, a Broderick or a Weiss or an Iggy or a Draymond can't, at least when he's cooking. But that comes with maybe some defensive liabilities.
Higgins is Giannis, just an absolutely astounding physical specimen who is going to, you know, like when he really puts it all together, just dominate the whole game.
Matthew Higgins, Latrell Sprewell.
Shebar.
Shebar is Tim Duncan, just, you know, fundamentally sound MovieFest player who brings it every year, and you always have a chance to win a championship with him.
Alex Shebar is clearly the LeBron James of MovieFest. He's won the box the most times. It's not clear that he's the greatest of all time, but he's certainly trending there. At the same time, I think we have to say that one of the things that Alex does best is he dominates the ball in MovieFest. Like, he wants to be holding the ball, he wants to be conducting the whole offense. He's going to select, say, 80 to 90% of the picks, the movie picks, just like LeBron kind of orchestrates the offense, holds the ball, everything has to run through him. He's a maestro, he sees the floor, he understands the fest maybe better than anyone, but if you're a ball-dominant player, it can be an uncomfortable fit sometimes playing with him. I think we should also acknowledge that LeBron has moved on to a different phase of his career. He's not the kind of full, high-intensity, all-the-time player that he was in his youth. I don't know if this is so much a change with Alex, but as a MovieFest participant, Alex really brings it in. He picks his spots, as people often say about LeBron. And Shebar, much like LeBron will kind of coast on defense or often guard the worst player on the other team now, Alex will just be on his fucking phone the entire fest, just kind of staring with his head down, saving that energy to really bring it when he finally decides to pay attention to a movie. And when he does, there's nobody who brings the fest like Alex. He's just totally got that MovieFest spirit down. And he's directing traffic. He's getting other people involved. He's making picks with other people in mind. He's one of the great distributors, I would say, about MovieFest. He's not someone who's going to just play in isolation. He knows how to fest off of other people. Like LeBron, he's got a strong social media game. And kind of all the attention around MovieFest really gets focused on Alex, just like the NBA is kind of LeBron is the center of its universe. So I think this is a pretty intuitive comparison. And like really does service to both of these fucking legends.
He's Jamal Crawford. At first glance, you're like, wow, what a dazzling player. He's got all these 6 Man of the Year awards. He's on these great alley-oop Clipper teams, right? He's well known. Then you dig into the advanced metrics. You realize that Shebar's true shooting percentage is fucking rubbish. Shebar, he's a volume shooter. And you know what that means? A lot of misses. The efficiency, not there.
Alex Shebar's a tough one because I just don't want to admit it. He's Kevin Garnett. He is the elite player. He's the big dog on a team of duds. Like, he's carrying it. He's got room on his back. He is MovieFest. Putting this movie through. Leading the way. He is the number one guy you think of when you think of the team. You don't necessarily think about a good team player. A lot of people are looking at this saying, maybe let some other people try to let the team work for them. Other folks are saying, no, they're fucking duds. You are the all-star. You got to carry these goddamn losers. Whichever way you look at it, Alex Shebar putting up big numbers. He is the big dog. He is Kevin Garnett.
Alex Shebar, who I really think of as the Greg Popovich of MovieFest. Like Greg Popovich, she makes amazing pancakes. But Popovich has been known for kind of bonding teams around food, bringing championship teams together. He's, of course, one of the greatest NBA coaches of all time. famous for the kind of wine dinners he has with his team and kind of the way in which he builds cohesion. I really think that's what Isla did for years at MovieFest with us, you know, around breakfast, and really just helping us like bring the team together and bonding in those crucial morning hours. So I really think, much like Popovich, that's something that she did that was absolutely crucial.
Koenig's is Kawhi, just, you know, moving to the West Coast and trying to make the playoffs every year and seeing if he can, you know, transform a perennial underdog into something great.
Yes, me as Jeff Green. Makes perfect sense. You know, you see me during one MovieFest and you think, man, that guy, he could be something special. He's getting involved. He's pushing movies. Maybe he's not a lead scorer type, but, you know, he brings the athleticism, he brings the energy, he makes kind of plays on both ends of the court. He can pass a little, he can jump out of the gym. But he's a total agent of chaos. No consistency. You never know when he's going to show up. He might disappear from the fest for a couple hours, take a walk with somebody, might go play some basketball. He's always going to be pushing to play poker instead of actually watching a movie. In fact, he's barely watched a movie his entire time. Not someone you can count on to suggest movies, and is often actually going to kind of mess things up. High turnover rate. Always kind of pushing movies that maybe shouldn't be pushed. So I think, you know, serviceable NBA player. I'm certainly a serviceable, you know, someone who keeps finding a role. People keep getting tantalized by me. They keep inviting me back to MovieFest. This is my 20th year. Got a lot of staying power, just like Jeff Green. But a kind of lack of consistency and just a kind of chaos to the game can make high-end plays. Can actually really kind of do a little bit of everything when it comes to MovieFest. But also not someone you want to be relying on if you want to have a championship level fest.
Tom Koenigs. This one's pretty simple. Steve Nash. He's the assist guy. You set up a joke, boom, he's going to help you out by repeating it over and over and over again until it's in the goddamn ground. He's going to set up jokes, you can play up with it. He's a guy that's all about camaraderie, keeping the jokes bouncing back and forth, the conversations going, getting everybody in on it. He is, without a question, the assist leader of MovieFest. Tom Koenigs, Steve Nash.
Koenigs is Jaylen Brown, the perfect swingman. Can you run a MovieFest offense through him? Probably not. Is he going to get you 22, play great defense, and shoot 38% from 3, night in and night out? Yeah, you're damn right. So he can't carry your team. But without Koenigs, you might not have one.
Scowen is going to be Fred VanVleet, because he kind of wishes that he was in Canada and, you know, can really heat up when you're not expecting it.
Scowen, Brandon Roy. Huge potential. Retired too young. We'll never know how his MovieFest career plays out.
Zach Van Scowen. And this one I think was actually one of the easiest for me, and that was Joel Embiid, Sixers big man. Like Zach, Joel is just an absolute force when he's there and engaged. Like, there's a lot of people who say, like, Joel Embiid is one of the few people in the NBA who can be the best player on any given night, but often, but they say that meaning that he often isn't. And with Zach, as with Joel, it's all about whether they're engaged that night, whether they're bringing the fest, and you know what, availability is a talent. Showing up is a talent, and that's something that I'm not sure at this point in his career, Joel hasn't shown that he can show up every night and be dominant every night. And certainly when it comes to MovieFest, Scowen has some of the highest highs, but there'll be, you know, fests where he's just not there. He's on a business trip, which seem to really consistently come up at the same time as MovieFest. And even when he is there, he kind of fades in and out. Like, when he's engaged and dominating, there's no one like him. He's the center of the fest. Everything has to run through him. He plays both ends. You know, he's doing movies, he's watching movies, but he's also just running his mouth. And, like, Embiid, of course, one of the great shit talkers. He lives in Andre Drummond's head. He's renting space, living rent-free in Andre Drummond's head. And Zach can do that when he's on his game, but when he's not, he's just lethargic. He gets a little pissy sometimes. And Joel has those moments too. So, you know, availability is a talent. Bringing it every night's a talent. And I think everyone just wants to see out of Zach, like they want to see out of Joel, that kind of everyday, day in and day out intensity.
And then lastly, you got Zachary Van Scowen. He is, without a doubt, the greatest NBA player I can think of, Mark Cuban.
So I've just been informed that you've actually been fined $15,000 And it's okay, though, because it's going to a good cause. It's going to Cyber Smile. Do you take back the F-bomb, or you're standing by it?
So if I say it again, I have to pay another $15K?
Yeah, you want to up it to 30,000?
Fuck it.
That is going to a T. Oh, and he's not going to like that answer.
I guess that leaves me.
Weiss. I couldn't figure out if there are any NBA players who skip the first quarter and go to bed at halftime, so I struggled with that comparison.
Yeah, I got nothing.
So I spent a long time thinking about for Eric Weiss. I think really one of the kind of key role players for MovieFest. I was thinking like high-end role players, and a lot of the examples I was coming up with, the Andrei Karolinkos, the Sean Marions of the world, are retired. So I actually ended up settling on another, though he's no longer a Warrior, someone we associate with those. And I think of Weiss as the kind of Andre Iguodala of MovieFest. Again, you're not going to count on Weiss to fill the Sheba or the Dutcher role. He's not a LeBron or a Chris Paul. He can't have a usage rate of 30% or else you're going to be in big trouble. He's not a kind of lead volume scorer. And yet, he's such an important part of making MovieFest hum. He's not a ball stopper. He's a great passer. He gets other people involved. He plays off of others. And that's one of the things that he does best. He's also just a fucking dog on defense. He knows how to get after it. He's one of the great defenders. He defends 5 MovieFest positions. He can do it all. He can play poker. He can play Magic. He can watch movies. I mean, there aren't that many people who do all those things. So you really love to see effort, consistent effort from him at MovieFest. For years, he's been somebody who's always kind of stayed locked in. Yes, he'll go play the occasional basketball game, but really, he's someone who's there in the spirit of the fest, and really gets other people involved. Look, he can have a big night and help you, like, put you over the top, like hang an 18 spot in a playoff game. But if you're counting on him to do that, like the Warriors counted on Iggy to do it once everyone got hurt against the Raptors last year, it's just asking too much of an offensive load for him to bear. And I just don't think that's the kind of thing you can really expect Weiss to always do.
I'm gonna go with Earl Boykins, just undersized. You don't really feel his presence that much. Can heat up occasionally, but
Eric Weiss, he is of course Andrei Kirilenko. This is the most obvious connection from them all, in that he's not the marquee player. He's not the one that's leading the team in all the great categories. He's not the first thing you can think about when you think about the team. But he's simple. He's solid across the board. He's going to get you points, rebounds, blocks, steals, assists. Every category you can think about, Andrei Kirilenko, a.k.a. Weiss, he's there. He's doing this solid performance night in and night out. He is a key member of the team. He might not be a big name, but in many ways, he probably should be, because he is doing it across the board. Eric Weiss is Andrei Kirilenko.
Okay, and last, Wacky Wig, who I really see as the J.R. Smith of MovieFest, someone who, is still around, still picking up a paycheck, but really hasn't done anything in a lot of years. But you never know when you might have that one JR game where he hits like 6 threes and all of a sudden swings it, even though most nights he's going to be like 0 for 20, which is very much what Wacky Wig has been for the last few years. We're still waiting for the Wacky Wig Fest, where it really like steps up and actually performs above its statistical average, which it's now failed to do for many years. Maybe some people watching this might not know what Wacky Wig is. It's the 20-sided dice Elliot rolls, and if it rolls a 20, or 1, I forget which, I think it's a 20, then it then selects a movie, and it's been way more than 20 movies, of course, now at this point, since Wacky Wig is actually delivered. So much like J.R. Smith, inconsistency, but when it hits, man, it really can juice up a fest. And like a real chaos agent, an important part of MovieFest.
I only know 3 NBA players, so I'm gonna say that Koenig's is Larry Bird, Elliot's LeBron, and I'm Michael Jordan. Despite just talking about how overrated I was.
Alright, what else we got?
Oh, hi, tripod that I set up right over there. I almost didn't see you there. I'm Larry Qualls, noted MovieFest historian, and I'm here to walk you through MovieFest headquarters 2020. Let's go! When we ask ourselves what makes MovieFest so great, we're not thinking about the people or the movies. We're of course thinking about the food. Let's take a look at what we've got this year. Unhealthy snack chips, cookies, crackers, other different crackers, plums, cream of corn, mashed potatoes, and kombucha. Here we of course have the couch, where participant Elliot Dutcher will be spending 24 hours sitting on his lazy ass. At his nearby workstation, he'll be monitoring the actual progress of the fest. The big monitor here is going to be focused on individual participants. And then here, we have the giant monitor for the movie itself, as well as the primary workstation where everything is hosted out of. Here, we have the Bridge of Khazad-dûm. And down underneath, we have the microphone that is way too loud and will flood out the movie's audio. But this venue is, of course, about more than just one lazy slob. The MovieFest Global Headquarters is the home not only to the meeting, but the direct streaming of all of the videos that takes place for this wonderful event. To find out more about the responsibilities that entails, we go to Frank Carmichael, MovieFest's chief technician. Oh, hey, yeah, thanks for that introduction, Larry. Hey, this is Frankie Carmichael. I'm chief sound and technical engineer for MovieFest. I'm going to show you what it's like to be recording this new virtual environment. It's a big challenge, but I think we're gonna be able to handle it. So if you look down here, the most important part of MovieFest, we got in the downloads folder this here computer. I think you probably saw it a second ago. We got all the movies that are gonna be watched. Now, obviously, we got over Google Meet. We're gonna be running the whole meeting with all the various participants who come and they decide to join. Now, normally you just host and you play these movies, locally. I could open up a movie. Oh man, this looks like a fucking nightmare. Thanks a lot, Shiba. Anyway, you could just play the movie like that normally. Unfortunately, when you present a screen or a window in Google Meet, you can't do the audio. The only way you can do the audio is through a Chrome tab. So we gotta set up what's called a Plex server. So when I do this, you're gonna see, presenting my screen, I'm presenting this Plex server that's linked to all these movies we got here. And let's take a look at Cats here. Okay. I'm gonna test the audio out, make sure it's working okay. Now what's interesting about Google Meets, when you're doing a screen share, you actually can't hear any audio as a host. That's why the meeting, we're actually gonna have to have two different Elliots. We'll stop the presentation, you get the idea.
And it's Scoot. Singular.
You make it a big screen if you want.
Name.
Alright, so that looks like a fucking nightmare. If you want, you can have subtitles. Maybe we make the subtitles a little bigger for Rob, who's gonna be running through this whole thing. There you go, you got some bigger. Fucking Jesus, what the fuck is this movie? Alright, let's get out of there. So that's the basics of it. You're gonna have Google Meet showing the movies in this Plex server. Let's also take a look over here. This is a Adobe Premiere. This is what we use to do some of the post-production editing. Here you go. You got this is the Larry Qualls guy. Interestingly, the camera that recorded, we're gonna mute the soundtrack. And hosting the venue, but making sure it all comes together in a way that is smooth and... Yeah, you hear that? That's some fucking garbage bullshit sound quality. We had to record the sound twice, and sync and hosting the venue, but making sure it all comes together in a way that is smooth and processed. Yeah, see, that's much better. Obviously, you gotta make sure you don't oopsies daisies. Making sure it all comes together in a way that is smooth and processed. Yeah, that's awful, but that's okay. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. It just does it one by one. Whatever. We're gonna have to edit this section that we're doing here, my own fucking footage of me talking, because, I don't know, that's just part of the gimmick. Lastly, this is what's called OBS. It captures the screen, the audio. You can see, my microphone as I'm talking to you. It's the mouse moving around. That's how we're gonna get the footage of me doing this stupid gimmick. Anyway, look at this fucking shit right here. See, this is the segment you was about to see. Not only did the fucking asshole who's filming it cut off the guy's goddamn head, but he forgot to record the secondary audio. We've tried to bump the audios a little bit.
We hope you've enjoyed this tour of MovieFest 2020 Global Headquarters.
Yeah, but that sounds like fucking ass. We're probably just gonna re-record that audio separately. Who the fuck knows? This whole thing's a goddamn shit show. And anyway, I gotta get back to arbitrating whatever this goddamn nightmare is. Yeah, thanks for listening. We're gonna let Larry do this outro that's already been recorded right here. Okay, thanks, fellas. We hope you've enjoyed this tour of MovieFest 2020 Global Headquarters, and we look forward to seeing you at the movies Fest. I'm pretty sure I nailed that audio this time, right? That was a dead on. That was dead on. All right, got a new one, perfectly synced.
I hope that was worth it, Tom.
Wah!